This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, or maybe early evening. How are we doing today, West Alabama? Internet world, this is the Joe Gaither Show right here on Bama Central at BamaCentral.com. You guys are checking us out on the Bama Central YouTube channel, or you're watching us on my own social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Joe Gaither6. We appreciate everybody who's tuned in to the Joe Gaither Show on whatever your favorite platform is. You might be listening to us on podcast. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or on Amazon. We appreciate that as well. Download, rate, review, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. It is 51 days away from Alabama kicking it off against Western Kentucky. And let me just tell you, I cannot wait for it because these dog days of summer are getting a little tough. I've had a fun day, a good day, hanging out with other platforms. I was on the Joe Gaither Show on Boston College, BC Central, and I had a little bit of time on Royal Central talking Major League Baseball as well. But it's time to talk Alabama and Alabama topics. I want to talk about a ranking called CBS Sports ranked. CBS Sports ranked the head coaches in the SEC, and I want to talk about where head coach Kalen DeBoer falls. I want to talk a little bit more about the rankings and ratings of EA Sports College Football 25. Got a little more information about the Alabama side, and I think a couple of the things that we have seen and heard about the ratings and about the rankings will actually translate to real football. Obviously, you've already known, if you watch the show at all, that I won't be playing the game because I don't have a PlayStation 5. I don't have the newest Xbox, this, that, or the other. My video game time, maybe much like you, is few and far between, and that's A-okay. I hope that if you are enjoying the game or have plans to enjoy the game on Monday, that you dive right into it. Do your thing. Obviously, handle your responsibilities, but enjoy the game as it comes out on Monday. But what we will talk about, I believe, will translate to real football that we will see in 51 days. We're also going to keep talking a little bit about drama that has happened in Athens over the last 24 hours. So that's going to be the game plan for the show today. If you want to get involved and comment on the show, you can leave me a comment, a question, a query, or complaint right there on my social media machines on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Joe Gaither6. We invite you to go ahead and do that. Before we get into the program today, I want to tell you about our friends, Purple Turtle Roofing. They are the number one, their most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and in Mississippi. Purple Turtle Roofing. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. You can visit them right now at www.roofturtle.com. They're the leading expert in local residential roof solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come check out your roof for free, and they're going to make sure you're prepared for all of life's storms. That's 877-787-6635. So we appreciate Dustin and his team, Purple Turtle Roofing, jumping on and sponsoring the program. Make sure you call him today. And if you're going out to the rodeo right here in Tuscaloosa, you will see his Purple Bug advertising for Purple Turtle Roofing out at the rodeo this weekend. So make sure that'll be a great family fun event for yourself as the summer keeps going right here in Tuscaloosa. And you can see the Purple Bug advertising Purple Turtle Roofing. We thank Dustin and his team for jumping on with us. Why don't we start? Look, I've had my brain scatterbrained all day today. Let's start with the coaches. Let's start with this ranking. You can check them out. CBS Sports put out their rankings 1 through 16, the SEC coaches. And this ranking, it doesn't make too much sense to me, but we'll walk right through it and find out and figure out where they went wrong or what we agree with. Let's just read them off 1 through 16. 1 through 16, number 1, Kirby Smart, Georgia head coach, 2-time national champion. All right, number 2, they have Brian Kelly. Number 3, Texas coach Steve Sarkisian. Number 4, Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer. All right, Coach DeBoer coming in at number 4. We like the rhyming right there. Number 5, Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. Number 6, Mark Stoops from Kentucky. Number 7, Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri. Number 8, Josh Heupel from Tennessee. Number 9, Mike Elko, brand new head coach, Texas A&M. Number 10, Hugh Freeze from down there on the plains at Auburn. Number 11, Brent Venables from Oklahoma. We'll see him later on in the year. Number 12, Shane Beamer from South Carolina. Number 13, Billy Napier from Florida. Number 14, Sam Pittman from Arkansas. At number 15, Clark Lee from Vanderbilt. And number 16, Jeff Lebby from Mississippi State. Now, do you want to take this from the top? You want to take it from the bottom? Look, you take it from the bottom. Number 12 through 16, I think is all pretty much interchangeable. I think that Shane Beamer is a bit of a clown. I think that Billy Napier is a good football motivator, but not very organized. I think Sam Pittman is a dead man walking at Arkansas, and Clark Lee, I think, is a good coach, but just doesn't have enough resources at Vanderbilt. I have a problem with Jeff Lebby at number 16, but that is where we'll start, and that's what I think will drive this list. Most of the Alabama people have a big problem with Kalen DeBoer being listed at number 4 behind Steve Sarkisian. And I understand that. I believe that Washington beat Texas in the college football playoff this past season. Kalen DeBoer was the head coach at Washington, beat Steve Sarkisian. And so that's where a lot of the Alabama people have had a little bit of an issue with this list today. This list getting tweeted out by On3 Sports at 11:30 a.m. today. And so I think that we can use the number 16 ranking, Jeff Lebby, as a kind of maybe guide for why these rankings fell the way they did. Jeff Lebby hasn't coached a single game, not at Mississippi State and not as a head coach in college football. He's been basically through the rigors. He was at Oklahoma as a student assistant, Baylor as an assistant. He's at Southeastern as an offensive coordinator, UCF, Ole Miss, Oklahoma as an offensive coordinator. He's never coached a single game. Head coaching record 0-0. And I think that this list is derived mostly on experience. I mean, okay, go back to number 1. Kirby Smart is the easiest choice. Number 1, 2-time national champion. His experience and his win-loss record speaks for itself. No argument at number 1. And then you keep going. All right, Brian Kelly's a real good coach. He is a real good coach, but is he the second best coach in the SEC? Or does he just have the second most high-level coaching experience? Leading the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to a couple of big-time bowl games, obviously getting to the national championship game in 2012, losing big to Alabama in that bowl game, or in that championship game, down there in Miami. And then now he's at LSU, and he's done fairly well at LSU. I think that really this list is derived by experience, a mixture of experience and win-loss record. And that's why I think that Steve Sarkisian at number 3 is listed at number 3 over Kalen DeBoer, because Coach Kalen DeBoer has only been a head coach for, 3 years? He was at Fresno State for 2 years, right? So he's been there. Yeah, he's at Fresno State for 2 years. He's at Washington for 2 years. So 4 years of high-level head coaching experience, and really only 2 years of head coaching experience at the Power 4 level at Washington. Well, I think that what Kalen DeBoer has done in those 4 years, and really dating back to his time at Sioux Falls, but nobody really cares. Nobody at CBS Sports cares about what happened at Sioux Falls. I think this list is basically driven by experience, and that's how we can decipher the CBS Sports list. Brent Venables, I think, is a good little coach, but they've got him at 11. How many years has he been the head coach at Oklahoma? 2, right? This will be his 3rd year. Brent Venables, this will be his how many years at Oklahoma now? He got there. in 2022, 22, 23. This will be his third year. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm on track here. I think that this list is basically all experience-based driven. Eli Drinkwitz at 7 over number 8, Josh Heupel. And obviously, you go back to last year's post-game handshake, and it's Eli Drinkwitz going up and saying, "Oh, we're standing on business, Josh," and making himself a little bit of a fool. So, yeah, he beat Josh Heupel head-to-head. But you've got the time at Missouri, and then he was a head coach at Appalachian State for a season or two. Josh Heupel, isn't this he was a offensive coordinator, wasn't he? Offensive coordinator at UCF, or was he actually in charge there? Josh Heupel, offensive coordinator, or was he in charge? I think he was. Yeah, he's a head coach. Okay, head coach at UCF. So 18, 19, and 20, head coach at UCF. He's been at Tennessee since 21. I don't have much issue with Eli Drinkwitz over Josh Heupel. Personally, I think that Missouri is going to be a very sneaky good team this year. If you heard our game-by-game prediction with my friend Joey Van Zimmerman on this program, what was that? Maybe 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I think I had Missouri at 10-2. And I know Eli has a little bit of a clown tendency, but I think he's a really innovative offensive coach. I love Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin at number 5 is probably about right. I might argue for Kalen DeBoer above Steve Sarkisian. I think that if you put them head-to-head, and obviously the last time we saw them head-to-head, Kalen DeBoer did beat the Texas Longhorns, but I think Sarkisian gets a little bit of credit here from the CBS Sports folks due to dating back to his time at Washington and his just experience in high-level football. Obviously, offensive coordinator at USC, head coach at Washington, offensive coordinator here in Tuscaloosa, offensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons, and now he's been at Texas for a couple of years. I think that he's getting the nod over Kalen DeBoer for his experience at high-level football. Do I think that's right? No, I don't necessarily think that's right, but I'm fighting my own biases. I don't want to sit here and say, Kalen DeBoer should be number 2. But if I search my heart, if I search my brain, I might argue for Kalen DeBoer to be the second best coach in the SEC. And honestly, from an X's and O's standpoint, I think that maybe he has an argument for number 1. Now, obviously, Kirby Smart and his defense is extremely, extremely impressive and has been since his time over there in Athens. But their offense has been relatively simplistic under Mike Bobo. You go back to the previous offensive coordinator, and he was really, really strong. Now he's moved on to, I believe, the Baltimore Ravens. But offensively speaking, I think Kalen DeBoer is going to really shock the SEC, really surprise the SEC, the way that he utilizes the Alabama talent. And I think that it might be a reason or a cause to have Kalen DeBoer higher than number 4 on this list. But going into the year, we don't know that. He hasn't coached a single game here in Tuscaloosa. We don't know that for sure. And so this 4 ranking feels like a safe ranking. It feels like these guys at CBS Sports rank these guys as safely as possible. Now you look at Hugh Freeze at number 10, and obviously it's very easy and very fun to clown on the Auburn coach, especially after what happened, what they did last year. Many times Hugh Freeze said that, we just don't have enough talent. We don't have enough talent. I'm recruiting. I'm passing off the offensive game planning to my coordinators. They're coaching the game. I'm recruiting. And look, that's a little bit of a cop-out for Hugh Freeze for their poor performances last season. But go back to what he did at Ole Miss and what he's done at Liberty. Is 10 way too low for Hugh Freeze? I think so. And look, the same sort of things can be talked about with Mark Stoops. Mark Stoops at number 6. Is he just getting a whole lot of love for his longevity at Kentucky? I remember we used to have a caller on my previous show when I was working with Tide 100.9 a year and change ago, talking about Mark Stoops. He's past Bear Bryant. He's past Bear Bryant for all-time wins at Kentucky. Well, he's been there for how many years? He's been there forever. Mark Stoops has been there since 2010. Is that correct? 2013? Yeah, 13. So he's been there nearly 10 years, 11 years. So yeah, he's got a nice little resume, and he's taken them to several different bowl games. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bowl games during his tenure, and great. But is he the 6th best coach in the SEC? I don't know if that's accurate. He's just been in the SEC now since Coach Saban's retired. Mark Stoops, is the longest tenured coach in the SEC. So this list is silly. This list is very safe in my estimation. And while I do agree that Kirby is the odds-on number one, number one. Once you get down past number one, I think you really do have an argument for Kalen DeBoer. I think you have an argument for Steve Sarkisian. I think you have an argument for Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin as the second best coach in the SEC. I know a lot of people don't like Lane Kiffin for a lot of his antics leaving Tennessee. I've got some Tennessee fan friends who just cannot stand Lane Kiffin. And then obviously the get your popcorn ready here in Tuscaloosa, 2-3 years ago. And that didn't work out well for him there. And then just everything that he does on social media sometimes rubs people the wrong way. And then you've got going for it on fourth down more often than conventional wisdom, leaning on analytics. But I got to admit, I am an analytics guy. I love the analytics, and I love Lane Kiffin's aggressiveness, and I love his offensive style. And really, maybe I'm clouded and shrouded, and maybe I'm biased from his time here in Tuscaloosa, revolutionizing the Alabama offense. I think Lane Kiffin does have an argument for that second best mark now that Coach Saban is gone. When Coach Saban was still employed, it was clearly Coach Saban 1 and Kirby Smart 2, and then from there you can argue about 3 till the day is over. But really, this top 5, Brian Kelly, Steve Sarkisian, Kalen DeBoer, Lane Kiffin, I think all have a pretty legitimate argument for the second best spot. So it just comes down to what's your criteria for ranking these coaches. And before you get so upset about CBS Sports' ranking Kalen DeBoer 4 behind Steve Sarkisian, maybe try to dig into this list and see that, they really, really valued experience. And they really, really valued high-level coaching experience. Yeah, Coach DeBoer was at Sioux Falls for many, many years. So he was a head coach for 5 years at Sioux Falls. And then he was a head coach at Fresno State, a head coach at Washington. But really, it seems like these pundits who are ranking this list over at CBS Sports aren't really that impressed by his time at Sioux Falls and aren't really that impressed by his time at Fresno State. And so I think that's what causes them to rank Kalen DeBoer number 4 behind Steve Sarkisian. It's much easier to take the head-to-head matchup that we saw. What was that? In January. So that's 6 months ago. Yeah, roughly 6 months to the day. Was round 1. Oh no, round 1 was December 31st. So 7 months. 7 months ago, where Kalen DeBoer beat Steve Sarkisian. But I think that Steve Sarkisian getting the nod here because of his high-level coaching experience. He's been coaching high-level football dating back to his days at USC, working with Lane Kiffin. So this is just a fun little list. You can let me know your list, who you think the best coaches in the SEC are. You can comment at Joe Gaither 6 if you want to say if you want to go against the grain and say there's a reason that Kirby Smart shouldn't be number 1. I think it's pretty obvious. His history, his resume, and his pedigree, being able to build the program past the point of what Mark Richt had it. I think he pretty safely at number 1. But past number 1, I think you've got a good argument for these other 4 coaches, Brian Kelly, Steve Sarkisian, Kalen DeBoer, and Lane Kiffin as the second best coach in the SEC. CBS Sports has it Brian Kelly, Steve Sarkisian, Kalen DeBoer, then Lane Kiffin. I think I would probably, gun to my head. What am I going to do? I think that the unfamiliarity factor with Kalen DeBoer is what I'm going to drop him down to number 3. I think that number 2, and maybe it is my bias for his time at Alabama as offensive coordinator. I think Lane Kiffin is a hell of an offensive coach. Now, he's going to be struggling this year with second year under Pete Golding, and golly, Pete Golding nightmare flashing through my head right now as we speak. I think Lane Kiffin might be the second best mind in the SEC. And I think Steve Sarkisian probably is comfortable there at number 3. I'm comfortable with him because think back to the 2020 season where he was the offensive coordinator. And look, if you come into Tuscaloosa and you win by double digits, and that's what Texas did last season, even though I don't think it felt like a double-digit win for Texas, it felt like a very close game, and maybe that is my bias speaking. I think number 3 is about right. I think it's Brian Kelly that's rated way too highly here. If you're coaching at Notre Dame, you're getting some good talent. Obviously, academic restrictions have kept them from getting the tip-top talent. But now you come down to LSU, and you still got really, really good talent. Their defense at LSU last year was absolutely atrocious. It was horrific. It was, oh my gosh, it was worse than watching some of the high schools that I see here in Tuscaloosa. Honestly, it was awful. The tackling, the discipline, the gap integrity, it was terrible. And so I think Brian Kelly is the most overrated coach on this list at number 2. I think I'd put him at number 5, gun to my head, behind Kalen DeBoer. And obviously, we'll find out this year in the new SEC how this all shakes out. But this is just fun all-season talk. I'm going to nail myself down with Kirby Smart 1, Lane Kiffin 2. I'm going to go Steve Sarkisian 3, Kalen DeBoer 4, and Brian Kelly 5. I don't think Mark Stoops is right here at number 6. I think Eli Drinkwitz and Josh Heupel are probably your next 2 up. And then I think Hugh Freeze is a better head coach than Mark Stoops. I don't know much about Mike Elko. I know that he's come from Duke and had pretty good success there at Duke. So, look, I think your next 4 or 5 are Eli Drinkwitz, Josh Heupel, Hugh Freeze, Mike Elko, and Mark Stoops in whatever order you want to take it. You go 11 to 16, this Brent Venables, Shane Beamer, Billy Napier, Sam Pittman, Clark Lee, and Jeff Levy. You can mix it up however you want, and I'll just say, yeah, you're right. I will. I don't know that any of these last 7 guys are going to be making much noise in the SEC this year. Obviously, I think the trip to Oklahoma is going to be pretty challenging for Alabama, just getting out to an unfamiliar environment and playing it at a very difficult point in the season, a very difficult point in the schedule. But I think that as a head coach, Kalen DeBoer is going to be able to manage that road trip pretty well. So that's my thoughts on CBS Sports ranking the SEC coaches, and we'll see these SEC coaches next week in Dallas. We'll be driving out the Joe Gaither Show along with myself, or along with Will Miller. We'll be driving out to Dallas next week. We cannot wait. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. It's going to be such an exciting time. We're going to hopefully try to catch a little bit of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, as it coincidentally is in the same city at the same time. But it's going to be a lot of fun next week in Dallas. Before we continue on the show, we're going to talk about Josh Pate kind of revealing some aspects of the Alabama offense and the Alabama team on the college football, EA Sports College Football 25, and then we'll wrap up with Georgia's latest troubles. But before we continue on the show, I want to talk about my friend Derek Daniel. Derek Daniel, State Farm. You can call him today for all of your insurance needs. Call him at 205-758-3391 for your home, life, auto, renters, boaters insurance. You need an umbrella policy to cover it all. Derek Daniel can take care of you. Call him at 205-758-3391. If you want to visit him in person instead, you can visit him at 4604 Highway 69 North in Northport, Alabama, 35473. Just head up 69. You'll go through the major intersection, the McFarland intersection. You'll go about another mile or so, right about a mile or so up on the left past Tiger Rock. You can find his new office. It's really real beautiful. He's moved from McFarland to Highway 69 North, and you can see him up in his new office, 4604 Highway 69 North in Northport, Alabama. Call Derek Daniel. Let him know that the Joe Gaither sent you. He'll be happy to give you a new quote on your home, life, and auto insurance. It won't take very long, and you can decide if you need to change up your coverage. Call him at 205-758-3391. Let's keep going on the program, and let's talk about Josh Pate and one of his latest videos. If you guys don't know Josh Pate, you're missing out. You can view Late Kick Josh on all the video machines, on all the social media machines, YouTube, and all that stuff. And obviously, he has his podcast as well, Late Kick Josh, on the podcast platforms. But Josh Pate, earlier today, and look, this is all a coordinated effort to get people to buy and get people excited about the EA Sports College Football 25 video game. We talked about it yesterday, the 6 Alabama players that are rated in the top 100. And look, that 6 finished off at 90, ranked as a 90 player, 90 or better. Look, the rating system goes 0 to 99. Alabama has 6 players ranked 90 or better. But he gives this is an interesting take to me. He basically reveals in his kind of presentation, in his hype video, that Alabama has 8 players listed 83 or higher, and Jeremy Bernard is rated an 85. He also said Graham Nicholson is the highest rated kicker in the game. So how do we piece these puzzles together? Yesterday, I basically gave you 3 players that I thought should be or might be included in the top 100 when the season is over, because I do think these rankings will change week by week by week based on performances. All right, well, if Jeremy Bernard is an 85 and Graham Nicholson is the number 1 rated kicker in the game, and Alabama has 8 players listed 83 or higher, and we already know the other 6 from yesterday's show and yesterday's announcement, well, that just tells me that Jeremy Bernard and Graham Nicholson are those other 2 players rated 83 or higher, with Jeremy Bernard being rated an 85. And I'm just going to go ahead and assume or guess or put 2 pieces together that Graham Nicholson is rated as an 83. But what does this really all mean? And what do we really want to take from this that we'll see on Saturdays, that we'll see in 51 days? Because you might be like me, not really going to be excited about this game and not going to be buying this game. I might play it at a buddy's house if I end up in the right circumstance, but I'm not going to be going out to buy a PlayStation 5, and I'm not buying me a new Xbox just to play this game 4 times over the next year. So my excitement level for this game is, it's great that it's back. But what can we take from this little video, and what can we take from what we have seen in clips today about the Alabama offense and about the Alabama team that we will see on the field on Saturdays in 51 days when Alabama kicks off against Western Kentucky? The biggest thing, you may be seeing it on social media, you may be seeing it on your Twitters, on your Facebooks, whatever you're watching on. I'm seeing a clip of Kendrick Law. I'm seeing a clip of Kendrick Law coming around the edge, taking a handoff from Jalen Milroe, basically a speed sweep. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a speed sweep from left to right, and Kendrick Law outruns the defense and basically scores a touchdown. Great, roll tide. Everybody's happy. The 2 notes that I wrote down were speed and space. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see out of this Alabama offense this year. And that's partly why I'm very, very excited, and partly why I'm very high on Kalen DeBoer. Yeah, I know we just ranked him as the 4th best coach in the SEC, along with CBS Sports. But I think that by the time the season's over, he could really be pushing for that number 1 spot. He could really be, okay, I haven't won a national championship yet, Kirby. I haven't won 2 back-to-back yet, Kirby. But I could be showing my chops this year in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm very, very excited about that Alabama-Georgia matchup to see some of these concepts in action. But I think that what Kalen DeBoer is really going to do, and what he has done over the course of his head coaching career and over the course of his offensive coaching career, is say, okay, who are the fastest guys that I have? How can I create space? How can I create angles and alleys for these fast guys to get the football and really attack the defense, really stress the defense? You've heard over the last 6-7 months about Kalen DeBoer's downfield passing attack, vertical passing attack, and I think that's going to fit very, very well into Jalen Milroe's skill set. But really, the reason that I think it's going to really work is the spacing. I think Kendrick Law is extremely fast. I think he's a great athlete. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And in this little clip in the video game, I think it kind of shows, okay, this dude, this Joker is really, really talented with the football in his hands. You know him as a physical player. Absolutely. And you know him for his physicality and for his athletic traits. I think they're going to get the football into his hands in many ways. I think Jeremy Bernard is very, very fast as well. He's going to be kind of more your downfield threat. And I think that really you're going to see defenses really have to drop more players deep in order to cover down the field. And what's that going to do? It's just going to open up the box. You're going to see this side-to-side speed sweep action like you see in this clip. It's going to be a lot of this jet motion, this jet sweep action, and you're going to be stressed. You're going to be stressing the defense 55 yards across the field. So now you've dropped defenders deep to cover Jeremy Bernard, to cover Kobe Prentice, to cover Emmanuel Henderson, to cover even Kendrick Law as well. Okay, you're dropping players deep. And we also have to respect the width. And so what does this do? You're just opening up alleys. You're just opening up running lanes for your Justice Haynes, for your Jam Millers, for your Richard Jones, and for your Jalen Milrose. Everything is going to be stretched from a defensive standpoint. Everything. And what is it going to do? It's going to make the reads easier for Jalen Milroe. Many people complaining about Jalen Milroe last year. Oh, he's a one-read quarterback. He's a one-read quarterback. He can't read the defense. Oh, and look, there were times that I received kind of some just whispers, not heavy source material, but whispers from people in the know that, oh, Jalen's really struggling getting to the line and calling plays and really identifying coverages. And, oh, Jalen might be struggling with this or that. And look, I think you saw some of that. But I think that gets simpler when the defenses have to really declare what they're doing, have to really show themselves because, hey, we're going to need to drop 3 players in deep coverage, whether it be cover 3 or whether it be, some form of cover 3. You're going to really need to be dropping players deep to cover all the areas down the field because Jalen Milroe can make those throws and because the athletes on the outside can get on top of you very, very, very quickly. And just as quickly, we can go from sideline to sideline to sideline with Kendrick Laws, with your Emmanuel Hendersons. I think it's going to really, really stress out defenses. And what you're going to do as well is make defensive linemen rush slower. They're going to have to be more disciplined in their rush lanes. And what is that going to do? Make it simpler for the offensive linemen. I think the offense is going to look very similar to some of the offenses that you saw under Lane Kiffin and some of the offenses that you saw under Steve Sarkisian. And that's what's made me very, very excited about this season. I'm trying so hard to be objective and so hard to not be a homer, but I am really expecting this Alabama offense to really threaten defenses vertically down the field and 55 yards wide. And I'm expecting this Alabama offense to put up points on points on points on points. And I think they're going to make it easier to read the defenses pre-snap. And just even if it wasn't the case, Jalen Milroe is going to be better due to experience, a whole year's worth of experience. So I think that everything's going to operate much smoother this year. I know Jalen Milroe saved the Alabama offense last season due to big plays. You had big plays down the field. Sometimes Jermaine Burton. You had so many big plays that saved the Alabama season. 4th and 31 is an easy one to come in mind. And that was a lot of just athleticism and, all right, yep, go to the corner. I'm going to hit a throw. And Isaiah Bond, you're going to make a catch. And look, these athletes here and in Tuscaloosa are still able to do that, are still capable of doing that, of just saying, you know what, we're better athletes than you are, and we're just going to show it. Jalen Milroe pulling down against Mississippi State, running, what was it, a 55-yard touchdown run through the middle of the defense, and it was just like, okay, the offense isn't doing much. Everybody's in coverage. I'm gonna pull it down and scramble 55 yards through the middle of the defense and score a touchdown. Those athletes still exist here in Tuscaloosa. They didn't go anywhere. Sure, the transfer portal happened and players left and did what they wanted to do upon Coach Saban's retirement, but that was always going to happen anyways. And you look at Coach Saban's final recruiting class, they were replenished, and obviously the class of 24s are freshmen, and they've got to take some time to develop and be ready on the field. But those athletes, the level of athlete didn't change. And so you've still got these superior athletes, and you marry it with a scheme that is going to be threatening defenses just from a schematic standpoint. It's going to be hell on defensive coordinators this year. And maybe I am getting over my skis, and maybe I am being a bit of a homer, but that's just the way that I see it from a football standpoint. You take these great athletes, you bring in a guy who's been basically a football wizard from a schematic standpoint over the course of his coaching career. What, 104-12? You don't go 104-12 by not being able to put your players in a good position. 17-2 in the NAIA playoffs. And I believe that both of those losses came in the finals. No, one was in the semifinal. Excuse me. One was in the semifinal, and one was in the final at Sioux Falls. As head coach at Sioux Falls, 67-3. And you think they're getting good athletes at Sioux Falls? Come on. They're not getting very good athletes at Sioux Falls. They're not getting anywhere close to the athletes that are currently practicing over on Bryan Drive. So I think you marry a scheme that puts players in the best position to succeed. You have a second-year starting quarterback. You have offensive linemen who are in the system for more than 1 year. You don't have a freshman left tackle, and you've got all these athletes on the outside at the skill position in the skill position areas. I think the Alabama offense is going to be very, very, very deadly this year, and I'm very excited about it. I cannot wait 51 days away to watch it against Western Kentucky here in Bryant-Denny Stadium. All right, last topic for the day. Last topic for the day is really on Georgia. Again, we talked about Georgia yesterday. Let's circle back just a little bit before we get into the next story. The Georgia Bulldogs and UCLA canceled their home-and-home series for 2025 and 2026. We talked about it yesterday. We reacted in disappointment yesterday. A little more reading, a little more understanding. Basically, UCLA says, we're moving into the Big Ten. We're going to be playing the likes of Michigans and Ohio States. We're going to be playing some of these top-tier teams along with the Oregons and some of our other old Pac-12 brethren. We don't want to be playing you, Georgia. And Georgia says, okay, yeah, well, we only have 6 home games in 2025. We'd love to have another home game. So sure, we'll let you out of this. We'll let you out of this contract. Now Georgia still got to find a school for the 2026 slot. Georgia went out and got Marshall in their 2025 slot yesterday. They confirmed that. But basically, you've got 2 universities that operated with selfish intent. And basically, UCLA says, we don't want another tough game on our schedule. And Georgia says, well, we want another home game on our schedule. Rack in another gate, rack in another weekend in Athens, and everybody goes home happy. We tear up the contracts and move on. My disappointment remains. My disappointment remains in both universities, both at UCLA and in Georgia. Look, UCLA, if you beat Georgia in that opener, if you were to beat Georgia in that opener, I mean, everything else is downhill from there. You walk into a potential Ohio State or Michigan game and say, hey, we've already beat the Georgia Bulldogs. We know we can play high-level football. Now, let's be honest. Was that going to happen? Very, very, very unlikely. Very, very, very unlikely. So you go test yourself against the Georgia Bulldogs, and then you continue on with your season. UCLA, do you really have college football playoff aspirations next year, the year after? I don't think so. So, all right, you get out of your game against Georgia. And then for Georgia, we want another home game. I understand that in the current landscape of college athletics. Oh, man, money is at a high premium. Ooh, goodness gracious. The way that this NCAA, this House versus NCAA lawsuit was settled, money will be hoarded at the college football level. You see that today, the SEC agreeing with Southwest Airlines to be the official airline of the SEC. Why are they doing that? Why are they getting a sponsored airline? More money. Because money is really what's going to drive college athletics and what has driven college athletics. And with this new line item, $15 to $22 million going to the players basically year by year, well, the SEC needs as big a piece of pie to give to to these 16 schools. Of course, we're going to get our own airline. What are you going to pay us, Southwest Airlines? We're, of course, going to lock you on. We're Southwest Airlines presents the SEC. It just means more. Makes perfect sense. So I get it from the Georgia standpoint. We want another home game. We want another home gate. I don't know exactly what a home gate and a home game will be worth to the university, but It's more than zero. It's more than what they would have gotten traveling across the country. Expenses, traveling across the country to go play a game at UCLA. Now, my disappointment all comes from a fan of college football standpoint. So there we go. That gives a little more context to yesterday's story. But last night, Smile Munden, linebacker, Bo Hughley, offensive lineman, and DeMello Jones, freshman defensive back, all get in trouble on vehicle-related issues. And I know this is not a Georgia show. I get that. It's no problem. But it's one of the biggest stories in the SEC, in my opinion. And next week at SEC Media Days, Kirby Smart's going to be asked about it again. It was just, 2 years ago where the Georgia player and the staffer get in a wreck, reckless speeding, reckless behind a wheel. You get in a wreck and they die. Oh, it just makes my skin crawl, makes my stomach turn. Tragic death. We dealt with it over the weekend with Kyrie Jackson, the Alabama, Oregon, Minnesota Vikings cornerback. Terrible. Awful. Somebody got behind the wheel of the car in Maryland, inebriated, and killed 3 people. Kyrie Jackson being one of them. Awful. Needless. Senseless. And look, people can roll their eyes and say, who cares? 18, 20, 22-year-old like to drive fast. This is just another, who cares? It's not that big of a deal. And ultimately, it's not a big deal for Smile Munden and Bo Hughley and DeMello Jones. It's not. I understand that. It's a simple thing. I have been speeding as well. Absolutely. I have speeding tickets on my resume. Absolutely. But it's just a pattern for Kirby Smart. It's just a pattern for the Georgia program. And even this year, you saw Travis Etienne, you have a DUI. Now it's been pleaded down, and basically it's been dealt with as a smaller charge. And, okay, I'm not here to say, we need to, bury him onto the team. We need to suspend him for the whole year, this, that, or the other. No. I have been speeding before, and I thought, man, that wasn't a big deal. I wasn't going that fast. Everybody on the highway is going this fast. But for Georgia, this has been a problem. This has been a problem that's resulted in loss of life. And so, Kirby Smart, look, man, I know it's Georgia, Alabama rival program, this, that, and the other. This is not coming from a place of rivalry. This is coming from a place of discomfort. This is coming from a place of, this makes my stomach turn, because surely your players can understand, man, we lost a teammate 2 years ago. We lost our recruiting staffer 2 years ago. Doesn't that resonate? Doesn't that last in the program? I mean, Smile Munden is an upperclassman. He was teammates with the offensive lineman that passed away 2 years ago. Doesn't that resonate? And okay, they're racing in Athens. And look, I've been to Athens a couple of times. It's a small city. You probably can't get going too fast a lot of the time. You probably can't. There's not a whole lot of places to drag race. Oh, gosh. And look, there's absolutely the argument that says, the Athens PD, they have it out for the Georgia players. Okay, fine. Let's say that that's the case. They have it out for the Georgia players. And there's a zero tolerance policy, and we're going to get you. And you can see that when you look at the charges. These guys bonded out on like $30, $25 charges, $25 bonds, which means that their fine was like $250, which is not much. I've had a speeding ticket right here in Tuscaloosa. It's been like $220. It's not that big of a deal. Highway 69 South going over into Hillcrest, they've got me before. What was that? Goodness gracious, 2013, 2014, 15, somewhere in that range. They've got me before. So I'm not innocent of this. It's easy to hit the pedal hard. But Kirby, come on. You've got to get it through to your players how dangerous this is. And even if it's, okay, no big deal, I was just speeding, I didn't realize how fast I was going, you've got to get it through to your players that, hey, man, the boys in blue have it after you. The boys in blue are watching for this. The boys in blue have a zero tolerance for this. And that's going to make front page news. You're a Georgia football player. You are a football player for the top 1, 2, or 3, the top 4 program in the country. Anytime you get in trouble, it's going to make news. And so just more uncomfort. It just makes me, look, I'm not coming from a place of hate. I'm coming from a place of concern. And Kirby, If the boys in blue have it out for your program, that's something you have to communicate to your players. If your players just don't care about their speed that they're going, you're going to have to make them care. Somehow, some way, you're going to have to make them care about speed, about being responsible behind a wheel. I know NIL has basically made a lot of these cars that these athletes are driving, nice cars, fast cars, sports cars. I get it. It's not what's in my driveway. But if it was what was in my driveway, I'd want to play with my toy a good bit. Sure, I get that. Kirby, you're going to have to do a better job getting through to your players. Obviously, the football program on the field has operated at an extremely high level, at an excellent level, at a level that any fan would be proud of you. Absolutely. But you're just going to have to do a little more work getting through to your players that, hey, we don't want your name to be the next one that ends up in a wreck, that, oh gosh, something bad happened. Even if it's not death, bad things can happen in an accident. So maybe that message maybe that message will get through in the future. We'll see what happens over in Georgia. That topic will certainly be brought up next week at SEC Media Days in Dallas. Let's get out of here for the day, and I want to thank Purple Turtle Roofing again for sponsoring the program. Dustin Foley and his team do a great job. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Alabama and Mississippi. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Turtle Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in providing unparalleled service and quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for a free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of their qualified employees will come out and check out your roof for free. There's no reason not to call and set up this appointment. They're going to come out and say, oh, your roof looks good, or oh man, your roof is kind of failing in these areas. You need to call them today for your free roof inspection and make sure that you're prepared for any of life's storms. You want to check them out online? Go check out their website, www.roofturtle.com. And again, go out to the rodeo this weekend here in Tuscaloosa if you're local, and you can check out the Purple Bug that they've got, and you can meet Dustin and his team right out there at the rodeo. So we appreciate everybody watching us. We appreciate everybody joining us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and on the Bama Central YouTube channel. Sorry we're running a little late today getting the program up. Just a funny day here over in Tuscaloosa, and we thank you everybody for their patience. We thank everybody who follows us at Joe Gaither 6 on your favorite social media machine. And we thank everybody who downloads, rates, and reviews us on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. This is The Joe Gaither Show. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.